9 months ago, I set up this no-filter fish bowl, and it is home to 8 chili rasboras and an unknown amount of orange-eyed blue tiger caridina shrimp. Now, I know there's a lot of you out there that would say this bowl is perfect and you don't need to do anything to it. The cryptocorin flamingo is doing really well, as you can see. The chili rasboras are chilied up and nice and red, and they're happy. Snails are having a good old time. And the orange-eyed blue tiger shrimp are loving life as they clean the cryptocorin and sift through all of this luscious glossostigma. Once this aquarium stabilized, I haven't had any issues with it, and it's functioning perfectly in balance. So that begs the question, what's wrong with it? Well, the answer to that question is absolutely nothing. There's nothing wrong with this fish bowl. The ecosystem's perfect. But I'm just one of those guys that I get bored with an aquascape once it's settled in. I enjoy watching these aquascapes kind of grow and evolve, and believe it or not, I enjoy fixing the problems that new aquascapes kind of come up with. I like to get things balanced out. I like to work on it. It gives me something to do. Once they get settled in like this, all I do is sprinkle some fish food in there, and that's just kind of boring to me. So what we're going to do in this video is tear it down and try something different. It gives me something different to look at, makes content for the YouTube channel, and hopefully gives you a little bit of entertainment. So let's go ahead and get it out of the hole here, put it up on a table, and get to rescaping. Well, tearing it down first. All right, let's move it over here to where we're going to build it. I got this fancy turntable and stuff now for you guys. All right, step one is to remove the floating plants here. This is just Amazon frog bit. It's a nice slow growing floating plant, so it works well in small aquascapes. Oh, I missed a piece. Next up, we're going to drain just a little bit of water out so that we don't overflow when we're in there working. Try not to suck up any of these little chili rasboras. I don't want to drain the water too low because there could be shrimp that are hiding in the glossostigma, and I don't want to leave them out of water and they perish. So here we can see I've got the water level just kind of right down here at the anubias, but there's still enough covering the glossostigma in the back that if there's any shrimp hiding in there, which I know from experience there could be, they'll still be alive as we're working here. Another pro tip is to use a white bucket for your drain bucket. That way if you do have any livestock that gets down in that bucket, it's really easy to see them. Next up, I'm going to try and remove this cryptocorin here. I'm going to put it in the 40-gallon grow-out tank just for now. I may repurpose it somewhere else, but it probably won't go back in this fish bowl. It's just a little bit large. See if I can get it out of here. I know the root structure is going to be crazy. It doesn't want to come loose. It's that well attached. Let me see if I can get this one to break loose. Man, that root must go all the way down to the bottom. There we go. I'm starting to get it. Come on, guy. All right. There you go. One cryptocorin. All right, we got all these crypts in the bucket here. I'm gonna shake all the dirt kind of off of the roots and stuff and transplant them into the 40-gallon grow-out tank here. But I like to rinse them in the bucket just to make sure I don't have any shrimplets or anything stuck in there. That way when the dust settles in here, I'll be able to check and see if there's livestock in there. Now the 40-gallon grow-out tank has a little more color in it. Looking good in there, but man, there was a lot more of that crypt flamingo than I thought. Once you start pulling it out, all the little plantlets start falling apart, then you realize how much you got. Looks like I'm going to need to buy more aquariums to put that crypt in, huh? All right, so now in our bucket you can see with using a flashlight, check and see if you have any livestock in there. I have checked, there's no little shrimplets or anything in there, so I'm going to dump this water. And then I need to get some clean water out of here into another container so that we can put the livestock in there. All right, I've got this little Hygger mini fish bowl here that I'm going to transfer some of the water out of the larger fish bowl. That'll give us a place to put our livestock, and then we can clear out the rest of these plants. guys, we've got the water out, we've got the plants out. Well, pretty much looks like I missed a little spot of plants right there. But I'm a little concerned because I only found one shrimp, and there were like 8 or 9 of them in there before. So I'm going to slowly drain the water out of here with an air line. That way it's a nice slow drain. That'll give any little shrimplets time to work their way down. And we're going to see if we have more shrimp survivors here. Well, guys, unfortunate news. There's no more shrimp in there. So I don't know what was going on. This was a well-established ecosystem. Something happened, I guess, and we only had one survivor left. So here's our bowl with our chili rasboras that are very scared, and so they're not red anymore. But here's our lone survivor of the orange-eyed blue tiger shrimp. Looks to be a female, so I could probably get some more and try and restart a colony, but what a shame. If any of you guys know my history with Caridina shrimp, it hasn't gone well. So no need to cry over spilt milk, though. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's go ahead and get the bowl cleaned out here, move along with the rescape here, and try and make some positive out of this. Thought I'd take a moment here to bring up the old selfie cam and just let you know that, you know, these things happen. You have to realize if you've got this many aquariums and you fish keep for any extended amount of time, you're going to have losses. I thought everything was good, but that's part of the reason that I wanted to rescape this bowl, is because when you can't see what's going on, it's kind of hard to check on your animals and count them and be like, hey, I'm down a shrimp. What's going on? But let's get it rescaped here and enjoy the critters that we still have left. All right, we got a nice clean fish bowl now, and we're ready to scape. Now, this isn't going to be that easy because fish bowls love to have reflections. So I'm going to do the best that I can. We'll just knock out this aquascape here, and hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on. Okay, I put the camera on a manual exposure and ISO and aperture and all that to try and get the clearest picture that I can here for you. So hopefully this is good video quality. We're going to start out with our filtration because this is going to be a no-filter bowl. So we're going to have some lava rock in here. I have a fine crushed lava rock. We're going to put that in as our base, and that's going to act as our filter, same as any other filter would. Now, one of the things that I don't want to do in this aquascape that I did in the other one was have a really high substrate. I tried to ramp the substrate all the way up the back here, and it just didn't leave much room for fish, right? They had really nowhere to go. Maybe that's why some of my shrimp didn't survive. I don't know. But what we're going to do is kind of keep it more flat this time. But we want enough of a lava rock base in there to act as a filter. Still trying to maintain like a slope from front to back. Very slight slope this time though, but that's going to be our filter bed right there. All right, so now I'm going to play around a little bit here, see what kind of rocks I want to put in there. I've got a bunch of these from the previous bowl and some extras that I had. The goal this time is to kind of make like a background, if you will. Kind of a backdrop, something like that. Mountainscapey. I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. So I'm just going to kind of play with the rocks here a little bit and see what I can come up with. When I figure it out, I'll let you know. All right, this is what I've come up with, and the camera's not picking it up too well here, but we've created kind of what I'm calling Valley of the Kings. There's a very small valley in there. See if I can bump the ISO up or something here. There you can kind of see the valley in there, and kind of walled by these two, I don't know, large rocks, which are supposed to kind of be like mountains. I have some plans to fill in behind there. Let me take you off the tripod and give you a closer look. I would have loved to have shown you how I place these rocks, but they're placed in there just perfectly, and I don't want to mess them up because I don't know if I'll get them back in the same spot. So you're going to have to bear with me and just kind of pretend that you watched me put rocks in. It's really not that difficult. You just got to get them set where they fit together and where, I don't know, they just kind of look natural and how you like it. But back here behind there, behind each set of rocks is a little pocket, and I plan to fill that pocket in because I want to put some plants on top, kind of like a grassy knoll up here or something, and then I'm gonna thinking some S. repens over in here. I apologize for the reflections again, guys. It is a bowl and it's almost impossible to get zero reflections. I've got a spot here I might have to jam one more little rock in, to seal it off. But before I get everything positioned the way I want and put substrate down here and maybe soil in the back, I want to fill it up with water, because we don't know what it looks like with water in it. It totally changes the whole perspective. So let's get some water in there and see what it looks like. All right, check it out, guys. That thing looks massive. With the magnification of the water in the bowl, these mere rocks look like giant mountains now. Kind of wish they had more texture. They would look, more broken up and like a mountain. But I think I'm going to roll with it. I could play around for hours and really try and get things done differently. But if you rotate this around a little bit, you can kind of see through the murkiness. Sorry, the water's murky, but, I just kind of rinsed all the lava rock and stuff when I put the water in there. But it really, really looks much larger in scale than it is. And that's kind of the whole point of a fishbowl. So let me try and back you out a little bit here. This would be sort of the view. We get some greenery in there, get some, some base plants down at the bottom here. This is actually not correct. This should be sloped back. I kind of messed it up when I put the water in, but we get some sand down there in the front. I think it's going to look a lot better. So let's get the water out and continue on with the build. All right, got a little top-down view for you here. I am going around and just using a little bit of tissue paper or toilet tissue and some liquid super glue. Just kind of putting it in these rock spaces here to make sure that when I put some substrate behind the rocks, the pressure over time does not push the rock forward and collapse the aquascape. I want to make sure that I can't see it from the front though, so we're good there. Get a little bit of our super glue here and drip it on there. Just make a couple contact points. Okay, got that one. I'm going to do one over here just to be on the safe side. And one final one just kind of back here on this back rock. They held pretty tight in the static configuration here, but I just want to be extra safe. All right, now that that's done, I've got a little more of this crushed lava rock here, and I'm going to fill in a little bit more base, starting with kind of over here, if you can barely see on camera there. I'm going to be putting aqua soil back here, but I'm going to use this lava rock to kind of fill in the base structure so that we don't get aqua soil bleeding through the front here. And you can't have too much crushed lava rock since that is our filtration. Okay, we got this side done over here. Now we're going to do a little bit back behind here. I'm going to fill this whole front area in with sand, I think. So I'm just going to build the sand up back here, and it'll kind of look like a second sand path maybe, just like this one going up in between the rocks here in the Valley of the Kings. I think I'm calling it Valley of the Kings because it's going to have little chili rasbora in it, and it's just kind of a pun, I guess, that the smallest of nano fish is in the Valley of the Kings. Okay, I already know that I'm going to have a nice planting area over here, so let's go ahead and get some aqua soil in here. You probably can't see it too well, but today we're going to be using a Fluval stratum. It's just a bag that I have kind of left over. Just filling this in here to make a nice planting deck, if you will. I don't know. Platform. What's the word I'm looking for? Terrace. That's the one. Making a terrace. I might have terraced too much there. Take some of it from the left side, put it on the right. Should be a decent area to plant in up there. I guess the next step is we should just go ahead and get our sand in here to kind of lock this aqua soil back into the areas where we want to keep it. Okay, for our sand, we're using African cichlid mix. You probably can't see that in the video there. African cichlid mix. It is, well, let me get a scoop of it. I'll show you. It's a very natural looking sand. It's got a bunch of different textures and grains and particles. I think it's going to look okay next to this rock here, but it should just give it more texture. And if any of this aqua soil kind of falls down in here, it doesn't look too terribly bad with the cichlid sand. So hopefully the sand bed will be deep enough here to keep the lava rock, well, underneath the sand. And because the cichlid sand is a little bit more coarse, it works good for aquascapes that are not using a filter, because the water can still kind of flow through there. Water has a current even though there's no filter, and the way that happens is thermal currents. So just being in your room here, the aquarium will kind of go through these heat and cooling cycles, and believe it or not, the water will rise to the top, cool off with a surface evaporation there, and it'll sink, and then other water will rise, and et cetera, et cetera. So believe it or not, you do have circulation in an aquarium without a filter. Your fish and other inhabitants will also move the water around a little bit. All right, how's this looking here from the front? Not bad, not too bad. Just get some final touches in here with it facing me. Okay, so everything that's going to go in this aquarium, I want to be low maintenance. I might have to trim it every once in a while, but I really want it to be low maintenance. So we're going to do mostly epiphytes, and we're going to do some just really slow growing stuff up here in the aqua soil. There's not much nutrients in here. Most everything is inert with the sand, and then under it is the lava rock, and then of course the regular rocks. That's all inert. So just this little bit of aqua soil is going to provide nutrients in the water. Now that was intentional because we want to keep the water fairly soft for the chili rasboras and, well, the only single Caridina shrimp we have left. So we want to keep the water parameters, you know, down on the low end of the pH scale. That being said, most of our plants are going to need to get their nutrients from the water column, and so epiphytes are the way to go. I might put another accent stone here in the front, you know, maybe something like that. I'm not quite sure yet. But let's start with the Anubias. Anubii. Okay, this chunk of Anubias here came out of this fish bowl, so we're going to cut it up and put it back in there. This Anubias also came out. I think these are Nana Goldens, even though some of the leaves look kind of dark green. It is the golden if you look at the newer leaf color is kind of lighter. And so these are Anubias Nana Golden. We're going to get those in there. I have this little tiny piece of Anubias as well. It is Anubias Nana Coin, I think. It's the smaller version. This is Nana Petite, to give you an idea. Not so Nana. And of course, the camera doesn't want to focus on that stuff. Focus, there we go. So there's the two leaf size differences. This is probably going to be too big for the Aquascape. If we kind of look in here, I mean, it fits, but it just looks like giant. Maybe it would go good back there. Not sure yet, but let's start with all the smaller Anubias here. All right, that's where we are right now, guys. Little bit of green in there, looking a little bit better. I sprayed it down with some misted water there. I have here some S. repens, and I have chosen S. repens because it grows fairly slowly. You could trim this off and it would take it another like 4 weeks or so to grow back. And in this area back here, I think it would be a good place to put some S. repens. It'll kind of create like a bush back in the corner there. I'm going with a green theme, I've decided here. No red, because we're going to have the red fish in there. So we're going to start with just this S. repens, kind of set it back in this aqua soil. It will grow in a low nutrient environment as well. It'll pull nutrients from the water column. So I think it's a good fit for this aquascape here. So we'll just kind of plant that guy back there. I've been growing S. repens in literal gravel. So it will pull nutrients from the water column, no problem. It'll reach for the light and kind of grow. It'll grow compact if I can get it off the tweezers here. I want to let go, let go. And all in all, I think maybe just a good choice here. We will find out in a couple of weeks, huh? Oh, get back there, aqua soil. I don't want you on my brand new sand. I can already tell I'm going to get aqua soil on this sand, that's for sure. Next up here, we've got some Hygger Tenellum Green. This is a nice carpeting plant that stays pretty short and has a grassy texture here. You can see how it propagates in these little runners. That can be kind of an issue because it'll run over the rocks and stuff and try and go everywhere, but it's fairly easy to grab one of those runners, pull it up, snip it with your scissors right there, and remove it as it grows in. But what I want is a nice grassy knoll up here. Just a nice little area filled with grass. I think it's going to look really cool. Well, you know, I wasn't going to do this, but I think I'm going to change the plant. I opted for Hygger Tenellum Green because it grows a little bit slower and it's more under control. But if you look down here at eye level where I view the tank, well, I kind of view it about this angle, you can't really see it. It will get a little bit taller, but not much. So I think I'm going to swap it out for this carpeting plant here, which is Liliopsis brasiliensis. It grows a little bit taller, still stays short, but grows a little bit taller. I can get it to compact, but it grows a lot faster, and that's the maintenance part that I didn't want to deal with. But we have to make a beautiful aquascape regardless of maintenance, right? So while I would normally just mix these two together, this is the last bit of Hylanthum tenellum green I have, and I don't want to intermix the species. So I'm going to pull it back out, put it in the grow out tank, swap it out for Liliopsis brasiliensis. All right, guys, we're almost there. You can see the Liliopsis brasiliensis looks a little bit better, kind of peeking out over the top of the rocks there. It will definitely grow, fill in and be a little bit taller and a little more visible over those rocks. As I'm looking at this here, there's two things that are missing. First, we're missing something right here in the foreground. I've got to get some green right there, and I know just the thing because I have a new favorite moss. What I'm going to do is take this here rock and put it here, but I'm going to cover it in moss. And I'm not sure if I want to do Physidens or Ricardia. Both of them are kind of my new favorites. So I'm going to think about that for just a second here, the texture that I want. But the second thing that we're missing is right here. Just looks too bare. Something's not quite right there. So let's go ahead and fix that right now. Back you out just a little bit. I'm going to put a couple dabs of super glue here on the side of the rock. Probably one on this side, one right here. And to that, we're going to stick 2 pieces of Anubias. Little tiny sprigs of Anubias here. Just wanted a little bit of green in this area. Just missing something there. It looked too plain. Needed like a little bush, little something right there. And these little guys are pretty small, but with the magnification of the water in the fishbowl, it should look beautiful once we put some water in there. All right, I decided to cover this rock. Well, not really cover, but it will cover. But I decided on Ricardia moss because Physidens, while the texture is awesome, I'm afraid with magnification it's going to look a little too big in the foreground and just kind of look out of place. So we're going to smash this rock down, see if I can get myself a better position here. All right, there we go, guys. That is a planted, hopefully low maintenance aquascape. We will have to, trim the Ricardia moss as it kind of creeps around the rock here, but that's not a real hard thing to do. You just grab your scissors along the edge and trim it off. The Liliopsis brasiliensis is going to try and run all over the place. You just have to grab some tweezers, pick that runner up, snip it. So that's a little bit of maintenance. Everything else should be good to go. All right, so let's take it off of this build table here and this little turntable spinny thingy, and let's put it back into its home where it's supposed to go in that little hole right there behind the light stand, and fill it back up with water, and then get our little fish back into this bowl. Yes, I am going to be putting the fish right back in, and I'll explain why when we get there. The chili rasboras and that poor single Caridina shrimp, they're down there getting drip acclimated to the new water. Now, why am I just going to drop them back in here? There's no nutrients, there's no bacteria, there's no nothing. It's a sterile environment. Well, these fish like RO water. They enjoy very clean water with very low pH, very low KH, and very low GH. So they like kind of nice, clean water. Tanned water is even preferred for them. And as far as the Caridina shrimp goes, well, Caridina shrimps, they like RO water too. They want all their parameters to about 0 as well. A little bit of minerals will come from the rock, so I don't need to add any like shrimp GH or anything like that. But we're going to drip acclimate them and get them back in this bowl. I have done quite literally 95% water changes with these guys, and they absolutely adored it. So I'm not that worried about it. We're going to be just fine once these guys get all acclimated. Now, there is just a little bit of aqua soil in there, so we will be doing an ammonia check tomorrow morning just to make sure that we don't have much ammonia going on, and then at that point, we will add some beneficial bacteria. So let's wait for these guys to drip acclimate, and then we'll get them in there with a fancy little release video. And now we're ready to add the fish and the single shrimp to the bowl here. We've got our testing here just for the haters on the internet. You've got ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. It's RO water, so obviously these are going to be 0. But you know, just for the haters, we'll go ahead and put that up there. All right, we got all 8 of our chili rasboras and our little shrimpy here. Let's get them in. Alright guys, it's the next day and I have just gotten done checking the water parameters. Really no change. Here's your ammonia at 0 and nitrite 0 and of course nitrates 0. So everything's at 0, which is to be expected. Again, there's not very much aqua soil in there, so I didn't expect it to change too much. The little chilies, not quite red yet, but they are getting used to their environment and swimming around. When they see me, they come to the front, so I think they're ready for a little bit of food. Let's try and give them a little food and see if they want to eat. Yeah, little guys are eating there, having a good old time. That means they're settled in and comfortable. If your fish aren't eating, they're definitely not comfortable. Again, I was not worried about putting them right back in here because they do like that RO water. The camera's having a really hard time focusing on these guys. Now, I know the aquascape looks pretty barren right now, and that was intentional because I wanted it to be low maintenance, and I know it's going to grow in and fill in, and that's what I enjoy doing, is watching it grow in and kind of mature. Okay guys, it's been about 2 weeks since we had the bowl set up here. Let's see how it's getting along. As expected, we have kind of a mild diatom algae issue here. Not too bad, but definitely noticeable. It was a little bit thicker before the addition of 2 amano shrimp. They seem to be doing an okay job getting it under control. The worst offender for the diatoms is here in the back, with just a touch of green dust algae appearing now. You can see diatoms here on the Anubias leaves. As far as growth goes, looks about the same as we set it up, and that's exactly what I want, is a very slow growth in this bowl, so I don't have to do much maintenance at all. Now the amanos are never present unless it's in the evening because they've made their home behind this rock back here, and so they're virtually impossible to see. Now the fish, they're getting along really good here, having a good time, enjoying their new home, eating readily, and they've colored up as you can see. So they're all having a good time. They come to the front of the bowl when I'm ready to feed them. But we do have one more bit of bad news with this fish bowl. Now that bit of unfortunate news is the fact that I did lose the final orange-eyed blue tiger Caridina shrimp that was in this bowl. I came in, I don't know, 5 or so days later, and shrimp was belly up. So I'm not sure what happened. I know it wasn't water parameters because I was checking that daily to make sure we didn't have any spikes or anything like that. There's really nothing in there that would spike. There's very little aqua soil in this fish bowl. And everything else seems to be doing fine. Like I said, the fish are good. Plants are good. Haven't had any melting or anything like that. So I'm not quite sure what happened. Could have been old age. Maybe I did something. Maybe it was just stress. But I am full disclosure on this channel because that's what I want to do. I don't want to hide things and gloss things over to make it look professional all the time. I have failures too, just like you. And I think that's why you guys watch the channel. You know, I might get some flack in the comments here and there for stuff like this, but I would rather that when you tune into this channel, you're getting the real deal. So that was the decision for putting the 2 amano shrimp in there. I figured they're not going to clash with the Caridina shrimp. Not that I think they would anyway, but we need some cleaners in there. Amanos are pretty good. So they seem to be pretty happy in there doing their job. I see them swimming around eating stuff. Like I said, they're hiding right now, but I promise you they're in there and they're doing just fine. As I'm saying that, let's go ahead and spin the fishbowl around here so that you guys can see. There are the amano shrimp right there. Come on, focus camera. Trying to prove a point here. There we go. Amano shrimp right there, chilling on the rock. And the second amano shrimp is over here hiding in the grass. So there's one amano shrimp there, and growing back over here, there is amano shrimp number 2. So everybody's doing just fine. Only other updates on the bowl is the addition of some of these little manzanita twigs. I had some pieces of wood that I didn't need from a video series that's coming up on the channel where I am making 2 identical aquariums for experimentation. And so I had a couple little pieces here and didn't know what to do with them, but I hate throwing things away. So I thought they'd look kind of natural just tossed into this aquascape here in the bowl. Kind of brings the whole thing together. So that's going to bring us to the end of the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed the rescape on the bowl there. Get down in the comments, let me know what you think, what's on your mind. I'll see you guys down in the comments section. And while you're there, you know what buttons to click, help this channel grow. I'll see you guys on the next scape. We got some interesting stuff coming up. Stay tuned.